Chapter 1. Time Without Numbers. For most of human history, people lived without any of the precise, numbered time measurement most of us take entirely for granted today. No clocks, no watches, no phones displaying exact minutes and seconds. Yet somehow, entire civilizations still managed daily schedules, agricultural cycles, and religious observances. This absence of precise clock time doesn't mean ancient people experienced time as vague or unstructured. Quite the opposite. Many ancient societies developed remarkably sophisticated, detailed systems for tracking time's passage using natural cues, careful observation, and clever mechanical innovations we'll explore throughout this journey. Time itself, before mechanical clocks, was generally understood as something naturally observed rather than artificially measured. The sun's position, shadow lengths, star patterns, and seasonal changes providing the fundamental framework within which ancient daily and yearly life actually unfolded. Different cultures developed remarkably varied approaches to organizing their days and years, some emphasizing solar observation, others focusing more on lunar cycles, still others developing complex combined systems attempting to reconcile these different, naturally occurring astronomical rhythms into coherent calendar systems. Daily activities in most ancient societies followed natural light availability far more closely than modern scheduled life typically does. Work generally beginning near sunrise and concluding as daylight faded, this natural rhythm requiring far less precise time measurement than modern scheduled, artificially lit societies eventually developed. Religious and ceremonial life often provided important structure for marking time's passage, regular prayers, seasonal festivals, and ritual observances, creating meaningful temporal rhythm that didn't necessarily require precise numerical time measurement to remain genuinely significant and reliably observed. Understanding how ancient people actually experienced and measured time offers valuable perspective on our own modern relationship with precise scheduling, revealing that humans successfully organized complex societies for thousands of years using approaches to time considerably different from our own contemporary numbered clock experience. This journey through ancient timekeeping will explore the sun, shadows, water, bells, and eventually the first mechanical clocks, tracing how humanity gradually developed increasingly precise methods for measuring time's passage across many centuries of patient observation and clever technological innovation. Chapter 2. The Sun as the Original Clock. The sun itself represented humanity's original, most universally available timekeeping tool, its predictable daily movement across the sky providing a natural reference point that virtually every ancient culture relied upon, in some form, for organizing daily activity and broader temporal understanding. Sunrise and sunset marked the most obvious, universally recognized daily boundaries, these natural transitions structuring work, rest, and social activity across countless ancient societies long before any artificial method for subdividing daylight hours had been developed or widely adopted. The sun's height in the sky provided additional temporal information beyond simple sunrise and sunset. Ancient people learning to judge roughly how much daylight remained based on solar position. This practical skill, requiring no special tools, simply careful observation and accumulated practical experience. Different seasons brought naturally varying daylight duration, ancient societies adjusting their understanding of daily time accordingly, summer days naturally allowing more extended activity periods compared to winter's shorter daylight hours. This seasonal variation simply accepted as natural rather than requiring standardized correction. Some ancient cultures developed relatively sophisticated solar observation techniques, tracking the sun's changing position throughout the year to identify important seasonal transitions, including solstices and equinoxes that held both practical agricultural and religious significance. Stone monuments in various ancient cultures, including sites like Stonehenge in England, appear to have incorporated deliberate solar alignment. These structures potentially serving as sophisticated calendar markers, helping ancient communities track important seasonal transitions throughout the year. Solar observation also helped establish basic directional orientation. Ancient people using sunrise and sunset positions to determine east and west. This practical navigational knowledge proving essential for travel, agriculture, and architectural planning throughout numerous ancient societies. This fundamental reliance on direct solar observation, while lacking modern precision, provided remarkably functional temporal structure for ancient daily life. Humans successfully organizing complex activities using simply careful attention to the sun's naturally predictable, reliable daily and seasonal movement. Chapter 3: Shadows and the First Sundials. Building upon basic solar observation, ancient civilizations eventually developed more precise timekeeping tools based on tracking shadows. These devices, which we now call sundials, representing humanity's first genuine attempt at creating dedicated, purpose-built time measurement instruments. Egyptian civilization developed some of the earliest known sundials, simple devices using a vertical marker called a gnomon. Its cast shadows changing length and position throughout the day, allowing reasonably consistent division of daylight hours into measurable segments. These early Egyptian shadow clocks divided daylight into 12 segments. This division representing one of history's most enduring timekeeping conventions. Our modern 12-hour clock system, tracing its conceptual origins directly back to these ancient Egyptian shadow tracking devices. Sundial technology gradually spread and developed considerably throughout the ancient Mediterranean world. Greek and Roman civilizations creating increasingly sophisticated versions, some quite elaborate and portable, allowing time measurement in various different locations beyond simply fixed installation points. Sundials required careful, location-specific calibration to function accurately. A device calibrated for one particular latitude wouldn't necessarily provide accurate readings elsewhere. This limitation, requiring genuine astronomical and mathematical understanding to properly design and construct functional sundial instruments. Public sundials became common features in many ancient cities. These prominent installations providing shared, publicly accessible time reference points that community members could consult throughout the day. This public timekeeping representing important civic infrastructure in numerous ancient urban centers. Sundials, despite their genuine usefulness, possessed obvious significant limitations, providing no time information whatsoever during nighttime hours or cloudy weather. This fundamental restriction eventually motivating development of alternative timekeeping methods less dependent on consistent, direct sunlight. Despite these limitations, sundial technology remained in continued practical use for many centuries, even after mechanical clocks eventually emerged. This enduring popularity, reflecting sundials' genuine reliability and reasonable accuracy whenever sufficient sunlight actually remained available for proper function. Chapter 4. Water Clocks. Measuring time with flow. To address sundials' obvious nighttime and weather-related limitations, ancient civilizations developed an entirely different timekeeping approach, using water's steady, predictable flow rate to measure time's passage regardless of available sunlight or current weather conditions. These water clocks, called clepsydra by ancient Greeks, typically worked through one of two basic principles: either measuring water steadily dripping from one container into another, or tracking water's gradually changing level as it drained from a carefully calibrated vessel. Ancient Egyptian water clocks, some dating back over 3,000 years, represent among the earliest known examples of this timekeeping technology. These devices, using carefully calibrated vessels with markings indicating elapsed time as water gradually drained through a small opening. Chinese civilization independently developed sophisticated water clock technology as well, eventually creating remarkably elaborate mechanisms, including some incorporating additional mechanical elements that would eventually influence broader mechanical timekeeping development throughout subsequent centuries. Greek and Roman water clocks achieved considerable sophistication, some versions incorporating float mechanisms that could drive additional moving parts. These more elaborate designs, representing genuine engineering achievement, building toward eventually more complex mechanical timekeeping systems. Water clocks proved particularly valuable for measuring specific time intervals rather than tracking absolute daily time. Ancient courts, sometimes using water clocks to limit how long speakers could address legal proceedings. This practical application demonstrating water clocks' genuine functional versatility. Temperature variation presented genuine practical challenges for water clock accuracy, water's flow rate changing somewhat with temperature, while freezing temperatures could obviously disable water-based timekeeping entirely, these limitations requiring careful management, particularly in regions experiencing significant seasonal temperature variation. Despite these practical challenges, water clocks represented genuinely significant timekeeping innovation, providing reliable time measurement independent of sunlight availability. This crucial advancement, allowing more consistent time tracking throughout both day and night across numerous ancient civilizations. Chapter 5. Bells, Monks, and the Rhythm of Religious Time. Throughout medieval Europe, religious institutions, particularly monasteries, developed remarkably structured approaches to daily timekeeping. This religious framework, providing important temporal structure that extended well beyond purely monastic life into broader medieval community daily rhythm. Monastic communities organized their entire day around specific prayer times, called canonical hours. These regular prayer periods, occurring at roughly consistent intervals throughout both day and night, requiring genuinely careful attention to time's passage to maintain proper religious observance. Monks developed various practical methods for tracking these important prayer times, including careful observation of natural light, burning candles, calibrated to mark specific time intervals, and eventually, increasingly sophisticated mechanical devices specifically designed to reliably signal appropriate prayer times. Church bells became crucially important community timekeeping tools throughout medieval Europe. These bells, not merely serving religious congregations, but effectively providing shared public time signals that entire surrounding communities could hear and use to structure their own daily activities. This bell-based timekeeping created genuinely shared community temporal rhythm, medieval townspeople organizing work, meals, and social activities around church bell signals. This religious institutional timekeeping effectively serving broader secular community coordination purposes as well. Some monasteries developed early mechanical alarm devices specifically designed to wake designated monks responsible for ringing bells at appropriate nighttime prayer hours. These devices, representing important early mechanical timekeeping innovation, motivated specifically by genuine religious practical necessity. The specific practice of maintaining accurate nighttime prayer schedules, requiring monks to wake and pray during hours when natural sunlight observation remained impossible, likely provided genuine motivation for developing increasingly sophisticated, non-solar dependent timekeeping methods throughout medieval monastic communities. This medieval religious timekeeping tradition, while serving primarily spiritual purposes, made genuinely significant practical contributions toward eventual mechanical clock development, monastic innovation, and necessity, driving considerable timekeeping technological advancement throughout this historically significant period. Chapter 6. Candles, Incense, and Burning Time. Beyond water and mechanical devices, various ancient and medieval cultures developed timekeeping methods based on controlled burning. These devices, using predictable combustion rates to measure time's passage through remarkably simple, though genuinely clever, practical technological approaches. Candle clocks represented one common approach, specially designed candles marked with regular intervals along their length, these markings allowing reasonably consistent time estimation based on how much candle material had burned away since the candle was initially lit. Some historical accounts describe King Alfred the Great of England using carefully calibrated candles to track time. These candles, reportedly marked to burn through specific intervals. This practical royal application, demonstrating candle clocks' genuine functional utility even among relatively wealthy, resourced users. Chinese civilization developed particularly sophisticated incense-based timekeeping, specially formed incense sticks, or elaborate incense seals burning at predictable rates. Some designs incorporating small weighted balls that would fall and create sound signals when specific time intervals had elapsed. These incense clocks could achieve genuinely impressive sophistication, some designs allowing quite precise time interval measurement through careful incense composition and burning pattern design. This technology representing significant practical innovation within Chinese timekeeping tradition. Oil lamp clocks represented another burning-based timekeeping variation. Calibrated oil reservoirs, allowing time estimation based on gradually decreasing oil levels. This approach sharing conceptual similarities with both candle clocks and the water clock technology discussed previously. These burning-based timekeeping methods shared certain practical advantages and limitations, generally providing reasonably consistent time measurement without requiring constant attention, though remaining vulnerable to environmental factors like wind or humidity that could affect consistent, predictable burning rates. This creative burning-based timekeeping tradition demonstrates humanity's genuine ingenuity in developing practical solutions using readily available materials. These methods, providing valuable time measurement alternatives, particularly useful during nighttime hours when solar timekeeping methods remained entirely unavailable. Chapter 7: Sailors, Stars, and Nighttime Timekeeping. For sailors navigating open ocean waters, far from any land-based timekeeping infrastructure, celestial observation provided essential nighttime timekeeping and navigational information. Ancient and medieval mariners developing sophisticated practical astronomical knowledge, genuinely crucial for safe, successful sea travel. Star patterns provided reliable nighttime reference points, experienced sailors learning to recognize how specific star positions changed predictably throughout the night. This knowledge, allowing reasonable time estimation even during extended nighttime ocean voyages far from any other timekeeping reference. The North Star, remaining relatively fixed in the northern sky, while other stars appeared to rotate around it, provided particularly valuable navigational reference for sailors in the northern hemisphere. This consistent celestial marker proving essential for both directional orientation and time estimation. Sailors also developed practical methods using simple tools like the kamal, a basic device helping estimate latitude through careful star position measurement. This navigational technology, while not precisely a timekeeping device, closely intertwined with the broader astronomical knowledge sailors needed for successful navigation. Watch systems aboard ships required careful time coordination among crew members, sailors typically dividing responsibility into shifts requiring reasonably accurate time tracking to ensure fair rotation and adequate rest. This practical necessity motivating careful attention to available timekeeping methods, even at sea. Some ships carried sand-based hourglasses, specifically for measuring watch duration. These devices providing consistent, reliable interval measurement regardless of weather conditions or available celestial visibility. This practical shipboard technology proving genuinely valuable for maritime timekeeping needs. Navigational calculations often required combining time estimation with celestial observation. Sailors needing reasonably accurate time tracking to properly interpret star positions for determining their ship's location. This practical application demonstrating timekeeping's genuine importance beyond simple daily schedule organization. This sophisticated maritime timekeeping and navigational knowledge, developed through genuine practical necessity and accumulated experience across many generations, represents another fascinating dimension of how ancient and medieval people successfully tracked time without benefit of modern precise mechanical instruments. Chapter 8: Market bells and the working day. Medieval and early modern European towns developed increasingly structured approaches to organizing the ordinary working day, various bell signals and public announcements helping coordinate market activity, work schedules, and community gatherings throughout bustling urban commercial centers. Market bells specifically signaled when trading could officially begin and end each day, this regulated commercial timing helping ensure fair, orderly market activity while providing merchants and customers alike with clear, publicly known temporal boundaries for conducting business transactions. Curfew bells, ringing each evening, traditionally signaled when residents should extinguish fires and prepare for nighttime rest. This practice originally serving genuine fire safety purposes, in densely built medieval towns, where uncontrolled fires could spread rapidly and cause serious community damage. Town criers supplemented bell-based signals, these public announcers verbally sharing important time-related information alongside other community news. This human-delivered communication providing additional temporal coordination beyond what bells alone could effectively communicate to town residents. Guild organizations often maintained their own internal schedules and time-related regulations, craft workers organizing their working days according to established guild traditions and requirements. These professional structures providing additional temporal organization beyond broader civic timekeeping systems. Seasonal variations significantly affected working day length throughout this period. Agricultural and craft labor generally extending during longer summer daylight hours, while contracting during winter's shorter days. This practical flexibility reflecting continued reliance on natural light availability rather than fixed, standardized scheduling. Religious observance continued providing important temporal structure alongside these more secular commercial and civic timekeeping systems, church bells marking prayer times, while also, practically speaking, providing community members with reliable, regularly occurring time reference points throughout each day. This combination of market bells, curfew signals, guild schedules, and religious observance created a genuinely rich, multi-layered system for organizing medieval community daily life. This complex temporal coordination achieved without any of the precise mechanical timekeeping that would eventually transform daily scheduling. Chapter 9. The invention of mechanical clocks. Beginning around the late 13th century, European craftsmen began developing genuinely mechanical timekeeping devices. These early mechanical clocks, representing a fundamentally different approach compared to previous methods based on natural processes like burning, water flow, or celestial observation. Early mechanical clocks used a mechanism called an escapement, this crucial component controlling and regulating the release of mechanical energy, typically from a falling weight, allowing gears to move at consistent, predictable rates rather than simply falling freely under gravity's uncontrolled influence. These earliest mechanical clocks were often quite large, frequently installed in prominent church towers or public buildings. This substantial size reflecting both the mechanism's genuine mechanical complexity and its intended function as shared, publicly visible community timekeeping infrastructure. Many early mechanical clocks didn't initially include the visible clock faces we consider standard today, instead simply striking bells at appropriate hourly intervals. This striking function actually explaining why we still call these devices clocks, derived from words for bell across various European languages. Monastery and church installations represented common early adopters of this new mechanical clock technology. Religious institutions' existing interest in precise timekeeping for prayer schedules providing natural motivation for investing in and further developing this emerging mechanical innovation. Clockmaking gradually developed into a genuinely specialized craft profession, skilled artisans developing increasingly sophisticated mechanical knowledge and techniques. This specialized expertise eventually producing increasingly accurate, reliable, and eventually smaller, more practical mechanical timekeeping devices. The gradual addition of visible clock faces and eventually hour and minute hands represented significant subsequent innovation. These visual display improvements making mechanical clocks considerably more useful for actually reading specific time information beyond simply hearing hourly bell signals. This crucial mechanical clock innovation, while taking considerable time to develop full sophistication and widespread accessibility, represented a genuinely transformative technological achievement, establishing fundamental mechanical principles that would eventually revolutionize humanity's relationship with precise time measurement. Chapter 10. How Clocks Changed Human Life Forever. Closing chapter. As mechanical clocks gradually spread throughout Europe and eventually worldwide during subsequent centuries, this technology fundamentally transformed human relationship with time itself, shifting from natural, flexible temporal understanding toward increasingly precise, standardized time measurement and scheduling. Public clock towers became increasingly common throughout European towns and cities. These prominent installations providing shared, precisely accurate time reference points that gradually supplemented and eventually largely replaced earlier bell-based and solar timekeeping methods throughout many communities. The gradual miniaturization of clock technology, eventually producing personal watches and household clocks, made precise timekeeping increasingly accessible to ordinary individuals rather than remaining limited to shared public installations or wealthy institutional ownership alone. This increasing timekeeping precision gradually enabled more standardized work scheduling, industrial employment, eventually organizing around precisely defined shift times rather than the more flexible, naturally adjusted work patterns that had characterized earlier agricultural and craft-based economic activity. Railway systems, developing during the 19th century, required unprecedented timekeeping standardization across different geographic regions. This practical necessity eventually contributing to standardized time zones, replacing the previous pattern where different towns often maintained their own local solar-based time. Modern life's precise scheduling, structured around exact minutes and even seconds, represents a genuinely dramatic transformation compared to the more flexible, naturally adjusted temporal understanding that characterized human experience for the vast majority of our species' historical existence. Understanding this long historical journey, from simple solar observation through sundials, water clocks, burning-based timekeeping, and eventually sophisticated mechanical devices, offers valuable perspective on how genuinely recent and technologically dependent our modern precise time experience actually remains. This history also reveals something worth genuine reflection. Our ancient ancestors successfully organized complex societies, religious observances, and daily activities using far less precise timekeeping than we consider essential today, suggesting perhaps our own modern relationship with exact scheduled time carries both genuine benefits and certain costs worth thoughtful consideration. And so, as this long journey through humanity's evolving relationship with time finally settles toward its quiet close, let this rich history of sundials, water clocks, monastery bells, and patient candlelight carry you now gently toward whatever peaceful rest awaits, time itself continuing its ancient, patient flow long after clocks first learned to measure it, and long after you finally drift towards sleep tonight.